التكبير. الحمد لله الذي أعدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. بلغ العلا بكماله كشف الضجى بجماله حسنت جميع خصاله صلوا عليه وعليه.
My presentation would be on the importance of education. Lack of holistic education has been a major challenge in our communities, being it in the Zongo community or in our 3 northern regions. And this has been the challenge to development in our communities. The misunderstanding and misinterpretations of some principles of Islam has led many denying their children secular education, rather placing emphasis solely on the Holy Quran education. Even with the, which is popularly known as the Makaranta, even with our Makarantas currently are facing challenges. They are not able to address our contemporary needs. So the ones we are relying on are challenged, and the ones we need to add to complement to have holistic education is being neglected. We still have a lot to do in inspiring our youth in the area of staying in school and seeing education as a means to an end. Staying in school, I mean aspiring higher. According to scholars of Islamic jurisprudence, knowledge can be put into two main categories: the obligatory one and the recommended one. The obligatory one has to do with knowledge that would help you worship, knowledge that will help you know your God, knowledge that will help you become a complete Muslim. That is the Islamic knowledge. Then the recommended, or what I say, the necessitated knowledge, is one that would help you comfortably adjust into your environment, one that directly and indirectly help you become a better Muslim. So these two forms of knowledge interrelate one way or the other. Although one is obligatory in the sense that if you do not acquire that knowledge, there is sin attached to it. The other one that is recommended is also important in the sense that you need it to make meaning out of the Islamic knowledge you have acquired. Therefore, there is nothing like Boko Haram. Yes, secular education that is beneficial is not haram. When the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had his first revelation, it wasn't to pray, it wasn't to go to Hajj, it wasn't to fast, it wasn't salat, it wasn't even salam alaikum, it was what? Ikra. with this verse, all scholars unanimously agree that these first 5 verses are the first revelation of the Holy Quran. So I throw the challenge to you that not aspiring for higher education is not an excuse. If we want to ensure holistic development, we must strive hard for holistic education. And this was emphasized by Umar bin Khattab, who says that if you want the world, you should search for education. If you want the hereafter, you should search for education. If you want the world and hereafter, you should search for education. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
My sister Gifty, my little sister Gifty, gave me the topic of empowerment. So I coined it the Muslim woman and empowerment, a narrative. Women, maximizing the potential of Muslim women still borders around empowerment. So I want to give a little, very, very brief, what was the state of women pre-Islam Arabia, and maybe the other parts of the world. It's very simple. The Quran actually mentions it. Female infanticide. The fact that the Arabian culture found the need to bury their female daughters alive tells you that there was a problem. I don't care what other scholars are arguing about, what kind of reasoning they come with. This fact alone is enough to tell us that there was a problem. There was a problem with women in their society. When we look at the Western world or other parts of the world also, women, can I say before or still? Well, I'll leave that to you. Women were seen as weak sexual creatures. They were simply regarded as weak sexual creatures, and they were dominated by men. That is the kind of picture we have, you know, pre-Islam, pre-industrial revolution from the West. Maybe the African situation is slightly different. But of course, it's not a blanket statement. Definitely, you will find women that would have come out to challenge this state of mind. Now, the advent of Islam, what did it do? How did it go about reversing this situation? The Prophet ﷺ came, and the revelations that were given to him said that the men should stop burying their children alive. But most importantly, Islam came to empower women. And as my sister quoted, the first verse of the first revelations revealed to the Holy Prophet were Iqra. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. That alone is an indication of how important learning was. And learning became a means to empower. But I think I want to hammer on the point about empowerment that will give us women today, will give us as pace setters in society today. And that is the most important thing that the Prophet came to talk to us about, to teach us. And that is the moral standing. Empowerment, I believe, is the setting free of the brain, the mind, the intellect. Empowerment is when you have been given the tools to seek knowledge, to understand values and principles that you will use so that you become a better person. We have said, we have heard here today that women and men are equal. Women play a complementary role to men. We are different in that sense. When we think that empowerment, or when we think that emancipation, freedom, liberty, all of those things are an end in themselves, we have strayed away from the path of Islam. And what is that end? It is simply the seeking of Allah's pleasure. So that when we reach the other side, that account of what we did will gain us His pleasure, His mercy, and will gain us the bliss of His paradise.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In my not too distant past, I was an active broadcast journalist, navigating and enjoying the experiences of the concrete jungle, as my uncle Abdul Hai Mumin will put it. Today, however, I'm a novice homemaker, struggling to navigate the home jungle, where all actors are competing, for all the valuables, if you know what I mean. But I'm happy that today Dr. Auntie has managed to bring me out of my hibernation, and I'm so glad that I accepted to be here. The atmosphere is really inspiring, seeing all of you seated here to share together. No one can be inspired if one wishes not to be inspired. It's the cardinal truth of life. In other words, if you're not tired of being tired, actually of being tired at where you are, there's no way you push yourself to be at a better place. And it goes especially for us, minority groups, vulnerable groups, excluded groups, sometimes, most times, women, children, Muslims, Muslim women, what have you. I want to ask a question. What comes to mind when you hear the Muslim woman? Just shout it out. One word that comes to mind when you hear the Muslim woman. Marriage. Early marriage. Submissive. Great. Positive. Humble. Lekoko. Meko haja mekoko. Haja bante meka. Haja mewache. And indeed, what? Poor. Yes. The images of the Muslim woman, as we hear, a Muslim woman. And you know, it's usually from a veiled woman, suppressed, victim, marginalized, disempowered, no ambition, what have you. And that is the rhetoric, as has been fortunately or unfortunately been reinforced by the popular media and sadly by ourselves. Because the way that we also view and communicate ourselves would reinforce the stereotypes that people have for us. So even amongst us in this room here today, some of us would still speak and give life to the stereotypes that have described the Muslim woman. And there is the challenge of our disempowerment. That when we ourselves become perpetrators of the stereotypes and communicate same, we reinforce it rather than disempower those that continue to do it, because the odds are not in our favor. At least Gifty now in Ghana is giving us a voice to be able to show what else a Muslim woman is, other than the timid, disempowered Muslim woman. And we must take those opportunities and change the rhetoric. Before I started media, when I was approached, I started radio first, and I didn't always used to veil. I describe myself as what do you call a closeted hijab is because I was a Friday hijab wearer. Fridays they don't go there. I'll wear my hijab proper. When I was invited to Metro TV, I was told that I can't cover because it's a secular program. Good Morning Ghana is a secular program. You can't cover. Because I was quite uncomfortable not covering, and I knew what our Muslim Ummah would say, you know, if I appeared on TV without head covering. So the only concession was that on Fridays, at least I can scarf my hair. So those who used to watch me Fridays, I would always scarf my hair. So I was torn, should I do it, should I not do it? And I'm glad I did. I came on without the veil. But that singular action of mine gave life to a lot of dreams among young Muslim women to want to be journalists, to want to be radio presenters, to want to be TV presenters. Because when you do it and you do it well, after a while you can now call the shots. Now I get proposals from TV stations to come and host programs, and I tell them, you know, now I cover. And they said yes, they can accommodate that. Allahu Akbar. Because they know the value that you would bring to the table. So sometimes you have to make the sacrifice that will open doors for generations yet unborn or people behind and after you. And the next thing I realized over the years is that sometimes you just have to be present, because you never know when opportunity will come. It is by chance that I happen to go into the media. So sometimes be present. And I'm happy that we are present here. This is what it takes to be present. Just go. Whatever the program is, make time and go, because you do not know what will be shared at that event that will open the doors for you. When you meet people, be nice. You never know who you're sitting next to. You never know what access to power the person has or influence that you will need the next day. So that's how I started media again. Someone watches me on TV Africa and thinks I do a good job. I get recommended to CDFM, who was looking for a morning show host at the time. I am called into an interview. CTFM employs me. I resign my development work. I start CTFM in the mornings. They said I didn't have a good voice in the mornings. They bashed me left and right. I felt disillusioned. I wanted to quit. My boss creates a new program for me, 2008, heat of elections, campaign trail. It's a different story. That's what shoots me into the media limelight. I do campaign trail and I do it well. I get into contact with all the power brokers, and today I became what? A household name. Chance encounter. Being prepared. When you get the opportunity, give off your best. You will definitely get a call back. In wrapping up, let me just say that it is important for us to invest in our girls. And it's important for us to help each other and support each other, because together our collective value would increase. We are not in competition. There's so much space for all of us. If the land is finished, we can go to the sea and build. People have built in the sea. So there's so much space for all of us to blossom and grow. Please don't let us cut each other. Let us support each other to grow.
Assalamu alaikum. Growing up, I never classified myself as female or male. It was in my house. It was really not an issue. It wasn't an issue at all. My mother, she didn't really care. If this is your space to sweep, and you will sweep. There was nothing like you are a boy. In fact, I never even thought of it. It wasn't an issue at all. So that is how I classified in my mind, unconsciously, success and failure. Well, from there on, I think medical school, one day at a time. But then when it comes to challenges through medical school, I remember when we started clinical years, that was one of the most difficult. The first few years, you are in the classroom and the laboratory. Then once you start clinical, the final 3 years, you go to the various departments, you go to the clinic. The first day, I enter a ward, and it is absolutely every ward. You know, the nurses are like managers of the ward. As soon as you enter, you know, you are supposed to go and speak to patients, you are learning. Hey, get out, get out, get out. And I was like, no, what's going on? Free, it's not visiting hours. It's not visiting hours, get out. Then the patient I was speaking to looked at the woman and said, but she's one of the young doctors. Before the nurse even looked at me again, and I was wearing a white coat and a name with my name tag and everything. And she asked me that, you? Then I said, oh, yes. And she was like, so why didn't you tell me something? And I was like, oh, but I was wearing my white coat. That's what all of us do. They said, oh, I didn't know. And this thing I'm telling you, it repeats itself in every single word for the first time you enter. The Mayafi in itself is a jihad. And when I say jihad, for those of us who don't know jihad means striving. You are striving to achieve something. So I can say that Gifty here is a jihadist. She is a jihadist for women. Because once you are striving to achieve something good, you are a jihadist. It doesn't mean what it means to us on the media. So for me, I think that for a young lady, if you want to even have a choice of maybe your career, if you want something that will help you, you know, for example, when the challenges are coming, there are a lot of women, let me take you for example, female doctors who want to do OPS and gynae. But when they look at the schedule, the duties, then they say, I cannot do it. I love it, but I won't do it. So what would make you go the extra mile to do it despite the challenges must be stronger than just liking. And I think for a Muslim, you must have a jihadi cause in whatever decision you take. Other challenges I have had, I don't know, would have to do with learning for long hours and running a family. That one has not been easy. As I'm in the postgraduate training, I remember there has been about 2 to 3 years of my life where I hardly went out on a weekend. So my social life was almost zero. If you invite me for a program, I'll practically not go. And sometimes you have a house help and then you wake up the next morning, she has taken her bag and she has left. And there have been times I've had to do things like I have a baby and then I have an older child. And then I'll take, when I'm on duty in the morning, I'll take the older child to my mother-in-law. And I must say she has been very helpful, Nana from her. And then I'll go to her, I'll drop my son. No, the son will go to school. And when he closes, they'll drop him with him. Then my mother will come from the other side of Accra to meet me halfway and take the baby. And then I will go to work. And then halfway, my father will drive my mother with the baby to come for me to breastfeed. And then they'll take the baby back. And then in the morning, sometimes if the place is clear and I think it's flexible, I'll rush back again, breastfeed the baby and come back. And then when I close from work, I'll go back again, take my baby, go and take baby number 2, and then come home and meet a lovely husband. So that's that aspect. But if you easy for me, I ask myself, if you don't do it and you know that female gynae is a requirement, especially in your community where the sensitivity is extra, then who will do it? If you won't do it, then really who will do it? There have been times I've really wanted to walk away because of all sorts of challenges, but then I keep asking myself, if I walk away, then who will do it? Because the truth is, when I went to medical school, we were 2 Muslim ladies in the class. There was no Muslim female doctor in Ghana we knew of ahead of us. It was just the 2 of us, at least for a start. So if we won't do it, who will do it? So for me, that has also been a big question. And because of the male dominance and the difficulty in the timetable, sometimes when you want to complain, because you are a woman and truly you need some, you know, some excuses because of pregnancy, because of child, I've been told that we don't do that here. The total empowerment of the girl child will not be achieved until it is coupled with written policies to protect her during her pursuit of her career. If there is a written policy that says that you shouldn't do night when you are 36 weeks pregnant, then your boss cannot say there is no one to do the job, so do it. Can you imagine doing very hard work with 30? There are people, especially in the health profession, they do it. They do it to nurses, they do it to female doctors. You are breastfeeding, and we are propagating 6 months exclusive. WHO says 2 years, and the Quran says 2 years, and I have 2 boys, and I breastfed them 2 years. So you have no excuse with my night duties. Last but not the least is that the most successful person in all this is one who is God-fearing. Because when the push gets to the shove, and you are put in a little corner, and you just want to give up, you give it up to Allah.
Islam and the position of women. Let me say, I will dare also talk as a politician, because I cannot deny that I'm a politician. I'm a Muslim and a very proud one. Because I read the Quran, I read it in English because I'm not studied, I'm not learned in Arabic. And as I read the Quran, it makes me a better Muslim and proud to be a Muslim woman. All the things we talk about, the problems of Zongo, the problems of Muslim communities, and indeed, I must admit that Muslim communities are the most deprived in this country. We are. We shouldn't deny it. We are. Our areas are underdeveloped and we are deprived. And that's, for me, there's one reason for it. We should not deceive each other that we don't look down on our women. We do. We look down on our women. And the reason why we have all these problems in our community is because women are not participating and we are not putting women the role that they should play in our society. We have to ensure that women are able to mold the household the way we want it to be, instead of always telling them that you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. But even the children, sometimes your boy children even want to feel that they know more than you. Is that not right? You go to a place, the Muslim boys will tell you that, look, you are a woman, you should do this, you should do this. Everybody wants to teach a woman what to do. There is this phenomenon in us. Every single, I don't know whether it's African, I think it's part of our culture or one way or the other. Everyone wants to feel more important. In a situation, you want to have a situation where you feel you are more important in status than the other. So it has culminated in the men in our community sometimes putting themselves in a role to make them feel more important than somebody else. And that somebody else is who? Is the woman. But let me assure you, women, if you allow it, you will be the doormat. If you don't allow it, you will not be. There's a proverb in my language that you look at the face of the person and decide what to cook for the person to eat. You look, when you get a stranger in your house, a visitor comes into your house, you look at the face and decide what you should cook for the person. So my passion is about seeing women encourage yourself, love yourself, put yourself out there, learn and do things. If we are going to sit back and say they are always looking down on that, that is how the children have been raised, and maybe we are also part of it. We've helped in raising them that way. We should focus on ensuring that things go well for us and things go on well in our communities. In leadership, we are not there. It's so clear. 10% in parliament, about 10% ministerial appointment. And in district assemblies, you'll be surprised that my constituency lies my district. There was no single woman elected as a member of the district assembly. And when it comes to the appointment to, unfortunately, the appointment is even below 4%. We are hoping that the appointment will be a vehicle for getting women inside there. When I was minister, I tried, and the statistics were there. At least in my time, we were able to raise it to about 15 and 13%. Now we've gone down again. So women, we have to position ourselves in leadership. Gifty will be the first to tell you that what she's doing is not easy. Even though I rattle about women, my challenges are always with women. Honestly, the challenges I've had in life are always in the field of working with women. I told somebody that I'm getting disappointed because all my life, my passion has been working with women and all that. But yet, I tend to also find the challenges and the problems that I get in life from women. Why is this so? And the person said, Alima, don't go there. Don't go there at all. I hope you are not also coming to tell us that women are their worst enemy. I don't want to hear that from you. It's about life that any place that you decide to work in, you get challenges. In any area that you focus to work in, there are challenges, isn't it? So it's not about women not liking me or not liking Gifty. It's just that in any area that you focus your career. If you are a nurse and you are focusing in the hospital, your challenges are from patients, isn't it? If you are a teacher, most of your challenges come from the pupils, the students you teach. So if you decide that you are going to focus on working for women, your challenges will come from women. So we have to learn to accept it and strive and strive and strive. After all, life is about struggle, isn't it? Every day is about struggle. We are struggling, working together, promoting, supporting each other. So please don't get this courage. If you support any woman and one day one woman messes up with you, it will happen. But don't get discouraged. Let's focus on working for women and ensuring that women get there. As Muslims and as citizens, as women, as human beings, we must do whatever we can do and give whatever contribution we can make in the interest and in the cause of establishing human development, creating a democratic Ghana, and entrenching a civilization which respects humankind, humanity, and promotes equality. Thank you very much.
I have a question. You know, when an egg falls, it's the same egg that breaks. But why is it that when night falls, night doesn't break? When night falls, is the day that breaks. Night falls, day breaks. Give me a break. I've just fallen in love with you. When you fall, I break. When you fall down, I break down. When you fall apart, I break apart. My knees are knocking. My heart is pounding. My thoughts are racing. I can't stop pacing. Give me a break. I'm falling in love with just you. They say love is blind. I think that love is kind. Love is one of a kind, a unifying elixir for all mankind. So let us put on the crown of creativity, the eyes of perspicacity, the shoulders of responsibility, the loins of productivity, the knees of humility, the feet of stability, the legs of consistency, the heart of courage, the lips of truth, the nose of discernment. Let us clothe ourselves with the garments of love. Let us seek the power of love and not the love for power. Night falls, day breaks. When you fall, I break. When you fall down, I break down. When you fall apart, I am the one who breaks apart. So why don't you fall on me so I can break your fall? Night falls, day breaks. I love you.
We have all accepted here that the world will be incomplete if it was restricted to only one gender. Either the world of men alone or the men of women alone. And so therefore we are all understanding that in the world of humanity, men and women are representing the two wings that flip together in order to propel development of human community. So long in our lives across the centuries, we did not understand this. And so therefore, we left one wing behind, and that has affected our development, particularly in the African continent. And we are thankful to God that through his inspiration, through the strong voice of some women, now we have seen, and then we are going together. Let me end up with one good example of what women can do. You see, Hajia, you mentioned Hudaybiyah.
Yes,
Hudaybiyah was a certain kind of agreement of peace between the Prophet, peace be upon him, when he had been sacked from from Mecca, now to Medina, 6 years afterwards. His followers were yearning to see the Kaaba again. Then he saw in a dream that he had been asked to visit Mecca once again. So there was excitement. So they all mobilized themselves and they came. Halfway along the line, the Meccan people heard that Muhammad is coming again. And they were not sure what he was coming to do. So they stopped him. So that thing, they sent an emissary, and it ended up in what we call the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. That's what we call the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. So it's an agreement. And she mentioned to you one of the terms. In fact, most of the terms were disadvantageous to him and his community, and yet he's accepted them. One of them was that this year you will not make it, go back home. And he said, I hear. So he didn't go in the name of peace. But when he had agreed with all unfavorable terms, his followers said, no, after we will not go. Forward ever, backwards never. 6 years we have not seen the Kaaba, we have not touched it, we are yearning, we will go. So prophet, why are you telling us to go back? Are you not the prophet? Didn't you tell us that you had a dream? So what is the contradiction about now? Then the prophet told them, Did I tell you this year? Yes, I had a dream. Did I tell you this year? So prepare, let's go back. They will not go. You know the nice thing? The prophet had left his one of beautiful wives in the tent. So he rushed into the tent. He found her, Salama. When he found her, he complained and raised concern. Today, for the first time, my companions have become disobedient. For the first time, they will not listen to me. Or disobeying me and disobeying God. And his worry, you know, women, you have the trick. You are able to calm us down. That's God giving something to you. See, to be a real woman, you can be found at the center of peace in the world. So she told him, Prophet, calm down. Calm down. Your companions will not disobey you. Now, you know what you're going to do? You get out now. When you go, never talk to your companions again, because they will learn from your examples. Go to your sacrificial animal and do it first. Sacrifice your animal and shave your hair. Your companions will, in obedience to you, will follow your example. The prophet listened to her. He came out straight. He came out. He did not talk to any companions. He went to his sacrificial animal. He sacrificed it and shaved his hair. And then all the companions say, hey, obey the prophet and obey God and his apostle. And they obeyed, and now the instruction is that now that year we will not go to Mecca because there was tension. We will go back to Medina. And that was how come we had peace for that year. Thank you so much.